You know what's a blessing and a curse? For lack of a better word, it's waking up, right? And if you've been awake for a bit, certain things just kind of feel obvious. You just kind of see through everything. It just feels like an obvious thing that you sometimes start giving the benefit of the doubt that more people probably recognize this, right? That, we're wasting our time. And most of the time, jobs we don't enjoy, we'll find a job you do enjoy. And it's like some people might not be born for jobs that pay enough to, afford where you are. And a lot of them don't right now. A lot of people are just getting by through the day. And we are seeing that jobs are quite pointless right now. And they're going to be obsolete here very soon. A lot of them are. And, there's obviously arguments that, I believe we do need to find a purpose in living to keep pushing forward. And a lot of times that can be found in work or working at something, working towards something, right? It gives us a reason to look forward to tomorrow. And that's getting harder and harder every day. And a lot of us get trapped in this kind of matrix of just wanting to pay the bills, and the weeks just fly by. I need to pay the bills. I need to pay rent. And God forbid you have a kid before you're ready, because it's like now you're very stuck. I just feel like the system is so broken. And a lot of people, I think subconsciously we know this, and that's why a lot of people get on medication. They start thinking something's wrong with them. And they're kind of a symptom, I would say, of just the world around us. I think we know this place is broken. I think we know this system doesn't work anymore, at least for the mass majority. There's a minority that benefits crazy, bro. 100%. And they're killing it. And they're making insane, godly amounts of money. And it just blows my mind that it's cool. It's cool you guys did that. Let's build them a statue. They're a WoW character. Or it's like when you beat Oblivion, you get a statue. It's like, you guys beat life. We'll make a statue of you. You got $1 billion. Here's this card, and you can afford anything you want, because you already can. But we're going to funnel that money so, people can have a place to sleep and food to eat. Very simple human things that I'm surprised we don't take more seriously. But I think it's just because we're all wrapped up in our own nonsense and brainwashed by media and, setting goals for ourselves that I don't think is necessarily bad, but I feel like it makes us lose that human element of it's like, dang, bro, we have enough resources to take care of everyone. We do. Dude, think of all the food we throw out every day. Think of all the nonsense plastic that we throw away every day as well. That won't biodegrade, or at least what does it take, 450 years, if I remember correctly. Not like I'm the one in the lab coat that's lived that long to test that out, but I just feel like we're making a bunch of nonsense, and it just feels like pretend, bro. It feels like pretend, and we don't look out for each other in just such a simple way, man. I feel like we live in a very narcissistic, selfish society, bro. And maybe people have always been this way. I guess you could argue they have, because it's raiding other villages, taking their resources. I guess it's just people. It's whatever that part of our DNA, I guess, is in us. But why is it that some of us don't feel that way, though? Is it sociopaths versus grounded people? What's going on? I don't know. I do remember when I took a psychology class that I guess in the frontal cortex of psychopaths and sociopaths, the part of our frontal cortex that allows us to empathize with people, that's black in the brain scans. It's non-active, no activity going on right there. So they just can't actually feel that type of stuff. And it turns out those people can be beneficial to society, and a lot of times they are. A lot of times those are the doctors, the policemen, anyone that has to deal with death and intense scenarios, stuff like that. And obviously bankers and all that jazz too, top of the food chain business guys are sociopaths and psychopaths as well. And that should go without saying, that's quite obvious. And But the other ones, I feel like, I guess you can argue they all benefit society in some way or another, right? There's an argument for anything. And again, once you're awake, man, and I feel weird saying that because, I don't want to be one of those guys where it's like, I've figured it out. But it just is what it is, I try to move the needle forward in my brain every day as much as I can and reflect as much as I can as well. But man, when you're like just awake to how the system works, bro, I don't know. Makes you wonder if we're like actually screwed. Like, is there actually no hope? Do you actually have to just play the game? And it does kind of feel that way. It does feel that way. It just feels like we're in this selfish, narcissistic society that, you can't have as much as I have because I, quote unquote, worked harder for it. But it's like, if we're being real about it, bro, a lot of it comes down to time and place. Where you were born, when you were born. Not saying certain people haven't made it, but a lot of times, man, origin stories, and I don't think this is a bad thing, but a lot of times origin stories, there's a connection in there. There's, that right moment where you got lucky. And I've gotten lucky too. I don't think it's a bad thing to recognize luck. But I think people dislike that because they want to have pride in what they accomplished. And it's like, I don't know, bro. Why would you have pride in anything? You can give yourself a pat on the back if you discovered some crazy new invention. I'll give you that. If you discovered a new law of physics, bro, I'll give you that. That sounds important. But what? You worked your way up at a job that, you met the right guy where they were able to give you an in, and now you have so much pride that you're killing it at sales over a job that you, one, didn't create. And two, it's like, yeah, you're doing good. Like, where's the humbleness? And I don't know, man. I just wish we didn't act that way. But I almost don't blame them. Well, I don't blame them. They're brainwashed. Like, look at all, like what media celebrates. And, like, what's the biggest music, at least in America? It seems to always be, like, rap, right? Flex culture, rich culture, which is honestly, it's disgusting, bro. That type of culture is so gross. And I'm not talking, it's no fucking racial, no. It's none of that. It's the attitude. It's that flex attitude, bro. That you often find mainly in, kind of rap music. And probably pop music. I don't know. All that stuff is garbage. I wouldn't feed your brain that, but, you obviously do you. But, man, everything's messed up. Oh, my God, yeah. I wasn't even thinking about, all the music brainwash, all the media brainwashing. And if that doesn't make sense to you, that's what's going on, I would actually meditate on it, bro. I would actually meditate on it. Think about all the things that run through your head during the day and recognize what's an original thought and what isn't. Because you'll find, man, and I'm not saying I'm like this, it's actually very hard to come up with, think of an original, invention. You'll probably just make, a PB&J, right? Peanut butter already existed, jelly already existed, but you put it in a sandwich, now it's a new thing, but it's a new thing contrived of things that already existed, so we're making combinations. We're not really making anything new. Does that make sense? And I just feel like a lot of people don't really think about things. But you know what's interesting? I actually think subconsciously we know. And I think that's why there's a lot of escapism. I think that is why a lot of people drown themselves in media or, substances, distractions, being a workaholic, anything, I guess. Because I think we do know that the system is messed up. None of it really matters. We're going to die. No one knows exactly why we're here, how we got here. There's people on one side that say we came from God, which I think is technically, it depends on what you mean by that, right? I think a lot of people, again, not saying I have the answer, but I find religion actually very interesting because there's a lot of wisdom in those texts. But I think a lot of people don't necessarily, I think some people lack that ability to, I don't know, look at like words or a sentence kind of flavorful. You know, they look at it too literal instead of like understanding the meaning that's trying to be portrayed. And that was just the best words they had in that moment to express that idea. And I actually think that's a lot of brainwashing. Like, I think when people think of like demons and stuff, right, they think of like a demon from a horror movie. And it's like, man, that's just a human representation of what a demon would be in a 3D environment. You know what I mean? And I think people think the same with God. I think there's, you know, if you still think God is like a guy in the sky, like, that's crazy. That's crazy, man. I would start reading it a little bit. It's interesting. It's the lore of humans, man. We've been writing about this stuff since the earliest civilization we know about. Has been talking about these interesting stories. And it still carries on to this day. It's very interesting. It's such a human thing, but I feel like the meaning has been lost a lot on people. Again, not like I've figured it out, but I do ponder and meditate on it because I do find it interesting. And if you read it, like, who's the main guy, right? JC. He talks about God being within yourself, like when you awaken it in yourself. Right, that's God. But then there's another God, right? Like the God outside of the simulation that created any of this to happen in the first place, right? So it almost feels like two things going on. So we almost need like a separate word. We almost need two words for it, right? One to describe the one in yourself, and one if we're talking about the grand infinite thing that allowed any of this to exist in the first place. Right? Oh, but he made us in his image. It's like, yeah, you should ponder what that's trying to tell you. And a lot of things with that, man, and this is what they're trying to say with a lot of that stuff, is it's what you, because it's infinite, it's as far as your consciousness can understand it. Like, no one can do that for you. It's literally up to you. It's up to you to find it. No one else can find it for you. And I find that so ironic. But I get it, man. A lot of people, like, they don't want to be wrong, I guess. And it's like, man, what does that even mean, bro? What does that even mean? The only thing I think you can argue wrong, and you can actually argue against this, but I just think as a morality thing, which I know you can argue, that you just shouldn't hurt or impose on others. You know, be a chill guy. Be, you know, don't try to ruin other people's experience of being here, because no one has to be here. You know what I mean? It's the only, like, quote-unquote wrong thing I can think of. But you can argue against that. You're as justified as I am, right? The thing about everything, right, is that you can argue one way and the opposite way, and they both can turn out to be true. So that's the paradox of life, bro. Literally everything. But people fear being wrong, so they flood to the majority. What's the majority of people think? Because if the majority think it, it must be correct, right? And it's like, that actually might be the opposite of what you think it is. You might be led astray from that, man. And that's what's freaky. But a lot of people don't want to be seen as less than or an outsider. But, you know, the path is narrow and few will find it. You know what I mean? But most people are sheep and want to be herded. And I know that's like a taboo way of describing people nowadays, is like sheep. But, you know, it gets a good message across where it's like, well, sheep are herded, right? They follow because the rest of them are doing it. That's just what that is. Come up with a better word. That sounds like a pretty good word for it. You know what I mean? I feel like people are so sensitive to certain descriptors nowadays. It's like, I don't know. Come up with a better one then. Like, I feel like so many people get tied up into, like, words instead of, like, the idea that's trying to be displayed across with that word. You know what I mean? And that's a shame. But I guess that's on them. I don't know, man. I just find this place so So interesting, I guess. It's very odd. It's very dark. But there's some beautiful things. But it's almost like those beautiful things are almost hidden. You know, sometimes I do wonder if they're trying to hide like the true beauty of things, because, like, for lack of a better word, like, I think we are very powerful. Not powerful like we're Goku, bro, but like our consciousness can be very powerful if it's tuned correctly. Some of you guys will know what I mean. And I think they try to dim that by, like, hey, pay attention to all this sex, listen to this music that'll brainwash you. Pay attention to this product that's trending, even though they probably just bought a bunch of advertisements and now you're being brainwashed by that too. Have kids, have a family, you gotta do all these things. What's your job? What's your title? Play your part. It's interesting, man. I think it's all brainwash. And the people that wake up get ostracized. Purposefully, and maybe not potentially purposefully, from the people who are brainwashed. But the brainwashed people are like the soldiers for the puppet masters, for lack of a better word. I'm using a lot of taboo sayings in this. But I guess that's why we use those, right? Because it just turns out to be universally the best descriptors for that type of stuff. Tried and true, I guess. There's another one. Being quite cliche tonight. But, yeah, man. We're in a weird spot. And, I don't know. It is what it is. Hopefully you find something you enjoy. And, I don't know. I guess if you're listening to this long, man, I would just say, just look into yourself. Try to understand yourself. Look at this world for what it is. And, I think if enough of us wake up, we could change it, but it will take a lot of us. And I guess that's all we can do, man, is honestly just hold on to that little bit of hope that it could be potentially possible. But we all need to do our part in the sense of talking about it, sharing it. Because there's a lot of nonsense out there. And this world it's already dark. It's inherently dark. Whenever you wake up from being an NPC and you realize, like, oh, everything ends. Everyone ends. Oh, we don't know when? Then why are we making this place so rough? It's like, we should probably be having a good time. We should start having a good time for everyone if we all have this inherent curse of this all ends and pain exists. Why are we maximizing that and not minimizing it? But that's a topic. That's a rabbit hole for a different day. But you guys know what I mean? Yeah. Well, regardless, boys, make sure to do something for yourself today. It's so important to. Make sure to do something for someone else today. It's so important to do that, bro. It's so important to spread some love out here. But regardless, boys, we got this. All right? We do. Take care.